Hi, everyone. I'm Rob with PharmID, and I'm excited to share a webinar today about understanding the gaps in controlled substance waste practices.
And I'm Allie, also with PharmID, and we're excited to be here. This is our first webinar, hopefully the first of many. A little bit about PharmID. We were founded in 2017, and since we have been very focused on how to improve controlled substance waste practices and want to share our learnings. So we're just going to hop right in, jump to the next slide, and talk a little bit about what today's agenda is. So what we're going to talk about is one, understanding current waste practices, review some real world cases of diversion, explore options that are out there currently for waste verification, and then what could be the future of waste practices at point of care.
So let's not waste anyone's time and get going. Sorry.
All right. Next, on to the next. Okay, just a few little quick facts we wanted to share. Obviously, waste is inevitable in medication management. 94 million doses of controlled substances are administered in hospitals each year, which if you break it down, that's about what was the fact?
I think it was like three doses per second.
Yeah. Which that adds up quickly. As I was just talking, that means 30 were already administered. But in procedural areas like ORs or PACUs, up to 60% of doses administered end up being wasted. One thing that's unclear is that if that waste was avoidable or unavoidable.
Allie, maybe we should stop there and at least define what we mean by avoidable and unavoidable. Our understanding is unavoidable waste is when you have maybe a little bit left in a syringe and you cannot return it to a cabinet or have it be used on another patient because all you can do is waste it. Where avoidable waste might be a full dose that you are able to possibly return. And I think what's important here is there has never really been a clear study about like what is really avoidable versus unavoidable. Though I know that many people are looking at ways to reduce the amount of avoidable waste, for instance. So,
yeah, it's definitely something interesting to think about, especially as we explore waste practices and what's avoidable and unavoidable in the future. To go back a little bit to what is administered and what is wasted, most commonly wasted is going to be your fentanyl, hydromorphone, and midazolam, which is right on par with what we see as well with our current waste verification system.
So about 2/3 of the medications that are being wasted in the OR are fentanyl, hydromorphone, and midazolam. Is that?
Yes.
Yeah. So even though there are a lot of other drugs, these are the three which are most commonly being wasted. So yeah, that is interesting. Allie, I think the other thing that at least, though this is not directly waste related, I do think it is interesting that 90% of all hospitals reported at least one diversion investigation with 20% of them confirming diversion in more than 50% of their cases. And this was in 2023, so it's up from 2021. I don't know if this means there's actually more diversion happening. Is it due to maybe some of the changes that happened during that time frame because of the pandemic, or are tools just becoming a little better and they're detecting things either faster or earlier in the process? I don't know if we know the answer to that, but I guess the point is diversion is not going away.
Yeah, absolutely. I think jumping straight from that, we can talk about some case studies these three that you see on your screen. These are just 3 case studies that we've randomly picked. There are many more out there, but all 3 of these cases have the same story. Each of these are fentanyl cases. It could be a different drug. These just have that's one of the similarities in these cases. But the other similarity is that the diverter replaced the drug with something else, whether it was saline, whether it was tap water. Even if you had a witness, they wouldn't know if what they were wasting was truly what they said it was. And what resulted from that is either huge fines, hundreds of millions of dollars were paid, or worse, patient injury or death. Our question is, if the waste could have been verified, would these cases have been caught sooner?
Yeah, no, it is an interesting thing. And I think that's really the point is right now today, what people are doing with waste, is it actually going to be good enough? And if you look at how waste is managed, in a lot of ways, you're looking at several safeguards to help you through a process. I've even heard the phrase like the Swiss cheese approach, where you might have holes in your process, but hopefully those holes get captured if you have enough layers in your process. So, the simplest method is you simply have a waste container, you squirt the drug into there, you document it, maybe with paper or whatever, and then you're done. Still commonly used, especially in outpatient and ambulatory surgery centers, things like that. Adding automation such as, an anesthesia cart or something where you can actually have the dispense data and your waste and administration data all matched up into something you call closed loop. You can then have a very clear report of, do I have any areas that need to have follow-up? Another one that people continue to also leverage is cameras, whether they are cameras in the OR or maybe cameras at the area where you're wasting, so you can watch this, or even have some ability to maybe have remote witnessing if a witness is hard to find locally. Again, just giving you additional technology for additional surveillance. And I think the last area where you're seeing is maybe how can you reduce waste by having actually smaller doses. So instead of having a 2 ml syringe, having maybe a 1 ml syringe that actually you don't have to waste as much, if at all, during that process. But I think the thing all of this has is, no matter what you do with any of these, if what you're actually wasting, as we pointed out in that previous slide, simply saline or water, it would actually pass through this process without being detected, which is, I think, where we're, looking at, how can we actually bring verification into the process better? So if you look at what verification is done today, most health facilities will use outside lab testing when they have either a found dose, or they have a particular set of drugs that they may want to have testing, or a particular situation that they want to get at. But it's expensive, it's highly reactive, and you're only going to do it if you really have a suspicion. You cannot do it routinely. Some customers has also adopted refractometers, which refractometers give you the ability to look at the drug by inferring it, by looking at how the light bends through it. So in a lot of ways, it's similar to like looking at a shadow on the wall. And though it can give you some information, refractometers aren't very specific. So as a result, you may get things that may look like other drugs, and you're not always getting the exact answer you need. They're not super easy to use. And so as a result, though many facilities have it, they're either not widely used, or they're only used when they have something similar to the outside lab testing. And I think most recently, spectroscopy has become a lot more available to be done within the pharmacy area, both technologies such as Raman, which we have with our current product, or UV visualization, where unlike refractometers, which infers what it is by looking at the bending of light, the spectroscopy actually can look at the actual molecule. So in a lot of ways, it's like looking at a picture or an image, like a mirror image, instead of just a shadow. So you have a lot more confidence that this is the drug you have and at the concentration that you have. And maybe, Allie, maybe we could talk a little bit about some of our customers who experienced using spectroscopy for the last few years.
Yeah, I think what you were saying, right? When we start with outside lab testing and bring our way down to spectroscopy, which is in our version 1 device, we're trying to move from reactive to proactive in these approaches to waste verification. We have about 40 devices across 15 health systems and over 1 million verified waste events. And though our customers are happy with those test results and the accuracy, and it allows the facilities to be confident in what was wasted is actually what was administered, these devices typically reside in a central pharmacy, and it creates a bit of a heavy workload to collect waste from ORs or any area of the hospital that they are looking to verify the waste. So to increase the percentage of verified controlled substance waste, they really need it to be at point of care to really have a truly proactive approach to waste verification in a health system.
Yeah, so and I know right now ASHP guidelines say random sampling is does meet the current guidelines,
Sure.
But is it good enough? Because in a lot of ways it is like searching for a needle in a haystack. You might be sampling, but are you sampling enough? And I think you mentioned before, most of our customers are sampling less than 10% of all their waste, simply just because of the difficulty of getting the waste back and testing it in a timely manner.
Yes. Yep. Exactly.
So maybe I know you brought up, our customers have been telling me they'd really like it in the workflow. So let's talk a little bit about what that looks like. And this is an example of what a closed loop could look like. Where you actually have, various tracking methods going throughout the system, from using an automated dispensing machine to actually dispense the medication. Then you can administer it and track it through your documentation. And then you might go back and do a document and witness before you dispose of it. And, right here, as you see, we put this in red because we feel like this is the area of opportunity where we could actually maybe insert something different into this workflow. And what we're really looking at is, instead of this being just a documentation and witness, is we can actually add verification to the entire process by actually putting a device right there in the location where you're doing the administration and the dispensing. You will actually have waste verification as part of that process. And that sort of is what we're looking at doing, because we look at this then give you the opportunity to look at the full waste as part of this. So maybe this is a good chance for us to maybe just share, well, what does that look like from our standpoint? And, maybe to start off with is we, knowing that we wanted to put this into point of care, knew we had to do a few things that were a little different. And I know, Allie, I think our customers with our current product did say there were a few things that they would like that they need to have for this to actually become usable within a provider setting.
Yeah. So from our current customers, right, in a central pharmacy setting where somebody is at the device at all times for a certain amount of time to waste the kits that come back, they have to do one at a time currently. So what we did to adapt to that time-consuming process, which takes about a minute per sample, we've added 3 ports to the top of the new device, and it's kind of plug and play. You attach your syringes, push the medication through, and you can step away after that. So that's a huge advantage with the new device. Also, all the components now are within the device itself. So there's no risk of, they can't get into where the waste container is. So there's no risk of potential diversion at that point. What else have we added?
Yeah. So maybe to reiterate first, we're securing the waste container within this device. And I think one other thing that we added, if I recall, is sometimes because it's a spectroscopy, the flow cell needs to not have any contamination or anything in it. And our current device, although you could clean it out with a saline wash, it wasn't maybe something that maybe you didn't know when to do it or not. And I think with this system, we've made it a little bit more self-cleaning. Is that
Yep.
correct?
Yes. Yeah. Great point that I was forgetting there for a moment is exactly what Rob said. Currently, it was something we were doing on the back end to let our customers know when to clean their device if we were seeing contamination. With the new device, it's self-cleaning after every single dose. So there's a much lower chance of contamination when you're doing doses back to back to back.
Yeah. So no, this is pretty exciting, and I know we're very early in this process. But maybe Allie, maybe you could walk through where we are in, getting this device, out to our customers and ultimately to the rest of the market as well.
Yeah, absolutely. This is our first step to getting a point of care waste verification device. We're super excited about it. Early next month, we will have the first device installed in a major health system. For a handful of weeks after that, we'll be doing a lot of point of care validation. And then at the end of this year, we will have a general release of the device. It's all exciting things. We're really excited to see how we can get closer to that proactive approach to waste verification. And we couldn't have done this without the feedback of our current customers. And we'd love to hear from you. Any of you that have watched this, feel free to reach out to us if you'd like to learn more about the device. If you have any questions or feedback, please feel free to email the email you see on this screen or email Rob or I directly. The emails are on the first slide.
Yeah, and maybe also, we would love to know what other topics would you like to see in a webinar. Candidly, waste is always at the top of our mind, and we're always learning from our customers, but trying to also see where we can continually make this a basically keep waste from being the weakest link, which unfortunately it is today. But we're hoping with this technology, but also more importantly, having the right workflows, that this will be something that will become just a standard of care, just like ADCs or EHRs or many other tools that have actually elevated the compliance and the patient safety in the health systems. So
yeah, all exciting things.
Yeah. Well, thank you again, and we look forward to hearing from you. Thanks, Allie.
Thanks, Rob. Thanks, everyone.